Ladies and gents, welcome to another raid video. Before we start, I bit all my hair off with my beard trimmers, hence why it's so unbelievably patchy. But it had to be done. It's fucking coronavirus, honestly, it's doing my head in this. Can't get a haircut anywhere, so I had to take it all off, shave it to the bone. But it feels good. Feels good to get rid of the mop that was my hair. So anyways, it's update 3.4. I don't always do videos on these update things, but it's a new faction, so I figured, yes, it's probably worth doing. So let's just go through all the new cool champions they've released. It's the Shadowkin faction. It won't initially be in Faction Wars. This faction won't be in. It will take a little bit of time until they fill up enough champions to make it viable. Although, with these champions released, you could probably make a half-decent Faction Wars team already, but you'd have to get them all, which is the other problem. So, yeah, so let's just go ahead and go over the new champs and see what they're like. So like I said, it's the Shadowkin. These are a kind of Asian-based samurai type ninja, that kind of stuff. Reminds me of an old Kamigawa set out of Magic the Gathering, actually, a little bit. But yeah, so Genzen, he's a legendary spirit attack champion. They did say there's going to be a lot of attack champions in this set. I can see another theme coming as well. I've actually had a look over these guys beforehand. I normally just have a look and do my reaction, but I have seen these guys already. So his A1's attacks 3 times and each hit fills the champion's turn meter by 6%. His A2 has the same idea, it has 75%, which I'm sure will be 100% when booked, of placing decreased defense. Each critical hit fills this champion's turn meter by 10%. So each critical hit being, if it attacks all enemies, potentially, that could be boosting them by 40%, which is pretty damn strong. That is really good. Then his A3 attacks one enemy, ignores unkillable buffs and shield buffs, fills this champion's turn meter by 30%, fills this champion's turn meter by 60% instead if the target has 50% HP or less after this attack. Also decreases the cooldown of the A1 and the A2 and the A3 if it kills an enemy. By 1 turn it will decrease it. So that is pretty good because that's on a 3-turn cooldown and that's also on a 3-turn cooldown. So getting a cooldown reduction on both of them is pretty strong actually. He also has a passive here, increases this champion's speed by 10 and resistance by 50 if there are fewer champions than this. Yeah, so basically, if you're down a champion compared to the other team, he gets a little bit faster and a little bit more res on him, which, it's not too bad. Bushido. So, I like this guy a lot. I think his kit's really, really cool. I can see the way they're going with these kind of ninja samurai faction. It's going to be a lot of turn meter increase, a lot of attack champions. I would imagine this guy will probably be quite fast as well. I would hope. But I suppose with his turn meter increasing that much, maybe he won't be that fast, who knows. But that's a lot of turn meter fill. He's going to be taking a lot of turns. His A3 is only... I mean, I would imagine that his A2 doesn't hit super hard, because that would be kind of broken, because you're getting a 40% increase there, 60% here. This will probably hit pretty damn hard, but it also ignores unkillable and shield buffs, which is really strong against... Swift parry just now. Swift parry is a bit of a pain, so this guy could be pretty interesting. Who knows? Might be a good way to deal with it. I mean, if they do actually release this new accessory that stops all crit hits coming on the first round, so that's, I can't remember what it's called now, but it's crazy strong. It's like a 75% chance of reducing a crit hit into a non-crit hit. So if that does happen and there's a few of these other champs released, it might end up being a much slower meta where champions like this could actually come in and do some work. You know, Little Miss Annie's, maybe more single target, keeping them alive. This guy's just going to take so many turns though. For PvE as well, seems really, really fun. I've got a slight problem of overestimating champions just when they're released, just because they're new and they're cool, but I don't think I've got this guy wrong. I'm pretty sure he's going to be good. It's tough to say until you see the final stats, but if he does hit hard, and he's got, yeah, if you can build him well enough, he does need accuracy to land a decreased defense, but you don't potentially really need to do that. You can build him apart from that with no accuracy. You just wanted to take loads of turns and fill his turn meter loads. So yeah, really cool champion. I like the build. Looks like he's gonna look pretty badass. Yeah, really cool. Next, we've got Yochi the Drunkard. So we've already seen this guy. Seems a little underwhelming. He's going to be the fusion or the fragment. Can't remember now. And yeah, so he's got an A1 that attacks an enemy and 30% chance of stun. Obviously, you get more. Oh yeah, I wasn't reading. Yeah, you do get 100% on this one. Forgot that you get this information too on the books. Incidentally, how many books? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 13. It's not crazy, but it's still too much. I feel they should kind of make it max 12 books. There was a lot of older champions that were like, 8, 7, 8 books. That was good. This guy's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This guy's 14 books. I can't see anybody putting 14 books into this guy. Unless I'm missing something, I don't think this guy's great. He's got an A1, obviously, with the stun I said. He's got a pretty poor A2. Anytime you see attacks 2 times at random, I don't like that. I don't like it at all. He's got a 100% chance of decreased accuracy and an HP burn, which is kind of conflicting. Like, decreased accuracy might be useful in arena, but if it's random, then what if you target the 2 nukers? So, or a nuker and someone else that's got crazy high resistance? Just doesn't work for me. So that's a bad ability. So his A3, he places a 50% increase attack buff and a 50% increase accuracy buff on all allies for 2 turns. Also has a 50% chance of placing True Fear debuff on all enemies for 1 turn. Has a 75% chance instead if they're under increased attack. He's also got this passive, I'll go through that in a sec, that fills turn meter by 4% each time enemy receives a buff. And he's got a speed in all battles, which is decent, but it's not that high, so it won't be used that much. Good for PvE content. This here might actually be better for PvE content than you think. I think that might be where he's quite good. Somewhere like Doom Tower, 50% accuracy can really let you focus, if you don't have crazy good gear, on getting, the decent accuracy to land those debuffs in Doom Tower and stuff. There's a few people that mentioned about this potentially being a way to cut in on people, because you'll fill Champion's turn meter by 4% each time an enemy receives a buff. But I see a lot of problems with it because, yeah, especially in Arena, that's where I play a lot of. I know a lot about Arena. So in Arena, let's take the example, you go against the typical Arbiter and Siphi. That's like 2 of the most common champions for an attack team to come at you, or even defense as well sometimes. So Arbiter puts on increased attack, then you get 3 buffs from Siphi. So straight away you're going to get 16% increase turn meter. But the problem is if you cut in, increase attack and increase accuracy don't actually do anything. But the True Fear would be really, really useful if you could True Fear their nukers. But Siphi's just put up block debuffs, so the fact that if that maybe said can't be resisted or something, it would be pretty cool. But I can just see, most of these teams are putting up block debuffs somewhere or other anyway. If it's a Duchess in there's block debuffs, so I can see this being pretty useless. Unless I'm missing something, I 100% don't think this guy's going to be any good. It looks pretty cool. He looks really cool, but yeah, not for me. Gintoro next. He's a magic attack champion again. Like I said, a lot of attack champions. He looks super cool, this guy. Looks kind of PvE based, so attacks 1 enemy, grants an extra turn if it kills an enemy, so that's pretty solid for an A1, to be honest. Yeah, that's a decent A1, especially if this guy hits hard, which I think he will. His A2 steals 100% of turn meter and attacks an enemy, obviously. Decreases the cooldown of Oni's Rage by 1 if the target is immune to turn meter reduction effects. So yeah, things like Dragon, Clan Boss, obviously. That's why I think he's definitely more of a PvE kind of guy, but I could see some potential for him in PvP, definitely. This skill here, though, won't really trigger in PvP. It might just be that he hits so hard he might be quite good. But attacks an enemy, places 60% decreased defense and weaken for 2 turns. So Clan Boss is exactly what you want, but it attacks 5 times instead of 1 on every 4th use of the skill against the same target in 1 round, which is pretty nuts. And it's on a 3-turn cooldown. And also, if you read this skill, the cooldown is going to decrease here as well, which is on a 3-turn cooldown. So effectively, this is on like a 2-turn cooldown here. So, because it's a 3-turn, but you're going to be getting 1 from here because the Clan Boss is immune to turn meter reduction. So it's a 2-turn cooldown already. But then also, all turn meter fill effects are increased by 50% when used on this champion. So if any of your rest of your champions are increasing turn meter at all, you're going to get another 50% on top of it. So if it's a 20% increased turn meter, he's going to get 30% instead. If it's a 30%, he's going to get 45%. So that's a lot, actually. That's a lot extra. And if his base speed's pretty good, he's just going to be, yeah, he's going to be smacking a lot. Yeah, and if you've got War Master on, well, actually, I don't know. I suppose if he's attacking 5 times, you're probably better. If it still counts as just one attack, I don't actually know how that'll work. If it still counts as the one skill, you'll be better with the Giant Slayer, but I think because it just says will attack 5 times, I think War Master's better. I'll have to ask about that one. Increase attack in all battles as well by 29%. Could be definitely useful for Clan Boss, just because more attack equals more damage nowadays, so that's cool. Hopefully he's not insanely squishy and he can only be used in a sort of unkillable team, but we'll see. He seems really, really cool though. Really, really cool kit. Something totally different. We haven't really seen this before. Definitely looks like it's based around Clan Boss to me, but you know, other big bosses. There might be a new boss coming in Doom Tower that he's really good against. He's definitely good against certain Doom Tower bosses already. The dragon could be good against him. So yeah, really, really cool champion actually. And I think we saw him in the video spoiled, and I'm pretty sure I said he looked cool because it looks like his profile picture matches that. So yeah. So that's the 3 legendaries that have spoiled so far. So we'll go through the epics and stuff. I'll go through these a little quicker because I don't want the video to be like insanely long. But there's a couple in here that are pretty good. So this one here, Force Champion, attacks all enemies, has a 40% chance of decreased accuracy. Seem to be pushing decreased accuracy on this faction as well, which is kind of cool. Or accuracy increase as well. Attacks one enemy on the A2, 75%, 100 when booked, placing decreased crit rate and leech. And then the A3, 50% increased attack on all allies, then attacks one enemy, fills the turn meters by 20% if it's critical. But he's also got a passive, revives a random ally with 30% HP when this champion kills an enemy, has a 50% chance of placing fear on all enemies when an ally is revived. That's pretty cool. He is support based though, and I don't know if he's going to be doing crazy amount of damage for that to work. It looks fringe usable. It seems a little bit too many things going on, relying on too many other things happening. But yeah, it's a fairly cool kit. I'd like to see him in action. Boro, now this guy looks pretty cool. Kind of looks like Raiden out of Mortal Kombat there for a second. Attacks one enemy, 40% chance of placing a 60% decreased defense debuff for 2 turns. Will attack all enemies instead if the target is under 4 or more debuffs. So that's pretty cool actually. I mean, that's potential for a AoE decreased defense. Granted, it's only going to be a 50% chance, but still on an A1, that is pretty nuts. But 4 or more debuffs is pretty tough. But I guess against even someone like, you know, the Frost Spider, Sorath, yeah, potentially, because he's got the minions, you could potentially be doing AoEs quite easy there because you've put a bunch of debuffs on the main boss. Seemed quite cool. A2 attacks one enemy 2 times. Second hit has a 100% when booked chance of transferring all debuffs from this champion to the target. The first hit is a 75% chance of stealing all buffs from the target when attacking under a veil or perfect veil. That is kind of cool actually. I do quite like that ability. So yeah, on the first hit, he's stealing all the buffs, and then the second hit, he's transferring all his debuffs away. It's actually pretty cool, to be honest. We've seen this in other champs before, but we've not seen one that steals and takes steals and gives at the same time. He has to be under perfect veil or veil, but that's not too much of an issue with some of the champions out there. And then A3, Ninja Arts. I quite like the name, it's Mystic Smoke, Ninja Arts, Spreading Chaos. Places a 30% increased crit rate and 30% increased crit damage on this champion for 2 turns, then attacks one enemy, places perfect veil on this champion for 2 turns if this attack is critical, which it's definitely going to be. It also has a passive, places revive on death on this champion whenever they receive veil or perfect veil for 3 turns as well, so that's quite a long time. Coincides quite well with this being a 3-turn cooldown as well. Yeah, he seems pretty good. He's attack based too. I do think he's going to be quite cool. I think he might hit really, really hard as well because it's all single target. And there's not too many like solid single target epic kind of damage dealers. There's a lot in legendary and stuff like that, but I guess they are kind of lacking a bit in that, so that is quite cool. I'd like to play about this guy. Seems pretty strong. I'd also like to note that Plarium can't spell dungeons. Apparently it's dungeons, but you get an increase in ally attack in dungeons by 33% apparently. So Taraghi the Frog, he looks super cool. Someone in my clan said it's kind of like the Mortal Kombat reject list, so I don't think he's wrong with this champion here. So HP based, it's not an attack this one. Magic, attacks one enemy, decrease attack, so fairly kind of lackluster there. He's got an AoE on his A2 with a 50% chance of placing Provoke for 1 turn. It increases by 5 for each debuff on the enemy team. So that's quite cool. It's a bit situational again. Doesn't get any increase from 50, so you need a fair amount of debuffs to actually make it work. In fact, you need 10 exactly to get 100%. So that's quite a lot. Although Madame plays his 8 straight off the bat, so there you go. That's one person that could do it, but it's not like it's insanely powerful anyway. Places a shield buff equal to 15% of this champion's max HP and an ally protection on all allies except this champion for 2 turns. Also heals this champion by 25% of their max HP and places reflect damage on them for 3 turns. So we don't see reflect damage that much. It did get nerfed a while ago. I've seen some people using, I think it's at War, I can't remember his name now, War Chief, that's it, and he's got the highest reflect damage, and it can do some work, but it's a little bit lackluster. Heal reduction, the heal increases by 2.5 for each poison debuff on the enemy team. That's kind of cool, and he's got this passive obviously that does poisons to make that work. When attacked, has a 50% chance of placing a 5% poison debuff on the attacker for 2 turns, occurs once per hit. Ally resist in all battles. He looks okay. I don't think he looks amazing though. Again, there's a lot of stuff going on there. But yeah, we'll just have to see. I don't have super high hopes for this guy. Maybe I'm wrong. Chonoru attacks one enemy. There's not much in the kit here. That's what I like. Nice and simple, easy to read. So block buffs debuff for 1 turn. 2 turns, sorry. That's a good debuff. That's a decent enough A1. Block buffs is pretty strong, especially with Swift Parry being out there so much, or you know, just for putting on like a Valkyrie or anyone that's a real pain in the ass to get around in PvE content. A2 attacks 3 times at random. Each hit has a 100% when booked chance of placing weaken for 2 turns. I don't like 3 times at random too much. Random's a little bit annoying, so not amazing. Removes all increased defense buffs from all enemies, then attacks all enemies. Decreases the cooldown of Lay Bear by 1 turn for each enemy killed by this skill. I mean, that's kind of interesting. It's an attack-based champion. If she slams hard, then this could be quite cool. We'll just have to see. If she hits hard, there's some potential for her being good, but she's not... Yeah, I'm not totally sure. She could easily just use Lay Bear over and over again, which is what is quite cool about her. We'll see. I'm not super excited, but it might not be too bad. Then we're into the rares, so I'll go through these fairly quickly. Some of them are quite cool, but I've got a bunch of rares and uncommons just to bulk up the set. So Fanatic is here. Looks really cool. Artwork on this guy. He's a void. Attacks one enemy, 30% chance of placing the small decreased defense. Has a 30% chance of placing the big one if they're under 2 or more debuffs already. So you can kind of see a theme going on with these guys. There's a lot of turn meter fill. There's a lot of stuff that happens if they've got debuffs on them already. A2, this guy's support, by the way, attacks one enemy with a 75% chance of transferring 2 random debuffs from this champion to the target. Also a lot of transferring stuff. So it seems like they're going for a theme more with this faction, which is kind of cool. I do quite like that. It would be pity if we didn't get any lore with it though. I'd like to see some lore come out with a lot of the factions. His basic rallying cry places 50% increased attack on all allies for 2 turns. Ascended, increase attack, and removes 1 random debuff from each ally. So it's kind of pseudo cleanse. Yes, it's pretty reasonable for a rare. Not the best void rare, definitely not, but not the worst. Could do some work for you, I think. We've got Life Taker here. A1 hits twice, 100% heal reduction. Nothing amazing. Attacks one enemy 3 times. Each hit has a 50% chance of decreasing the target's turn meter by 10. The third hit has a 50% chance of placing a decreased speed debuff. Now this books up to 75% for both of them. So that's pretty cool. I mean, turn meter reduction's good. It's on a 3-turn cooldown as well. Places Veil on this champion for 1 turn and reflect damage for 2 turns. So again, going with reflect damage and a lot of Veil stuff. Yeah, seems okay. Attack based champion as well, so he could definitely do some work anyway. Blood Mask, really cool looking here. That's the Omi, or I can't remember the type of Japanese kind of art stuff. Attacks one enemy, has a 35% chance of decreasing turn meter by 10%, so that'll be 50%. It's not too bad. Turn meter reduction is always good. Attacks one enemy, 50% chance of placing decreased speed, and then attacks one enemy 75%, but 100% when booked of placing a stun on a 3-turn cooldown. So he takes a lot of books. In fact, yeah, he's the worst one. He takes how many is he taking? That's like 1, 2, 3, 7, 14, 19 books. Wow, that's a lot of investment. I know it's rare books, but still, that is a lot. And then we're on to the uncommons. These guys, we've got the Conscript. Attacks one enemy 2 times. Attacks one enemy 15% weaken. Uncommon is an uncommon. And then attacks an enemy plain, and then 2 times 50% chance of 2.5 poison debuff. So it's pretty cool. We're also getting the champion tags, which I spoke about before. That's definitely really cool. And a couple of little things here. Clan Boss reward chest now show all possible rewards on tap. Moderators, blah blah blah. Completing the Doom Tower on either difficulty for the first time will award special avatars. Well, I didn't read that. That's pretty cool. Additionally, players won't receive Doom Tower related advanced quests before Doom Tower is available to them. So that's kind of cool. Special avatars is always good. So that's it, guys. Leave in the comments below what you think of the new faction. I think it looks pretty cool. The Mortal Kombat B team, as it's been called in our clan already. But yeah, I do like this guy, and I think this guy is super cool. Really want to try him out. So that's it, guys. Please like and subscribe to the channel. Hit that bell button for notifications so you don't miss the next video. And have a great day, guys. Peace.